This episode of Like It or Not is sponsored by CH Peptides, a trusted source for high-quality research peptides like tirzepatide, BPC157, and IGF-1LR3. With fast shipping, consistent purity, and top-tier service, CH Peptides keep things simple and reliable. Want to learn more or book an appointment? Just call or text 707-380-6411. Tell them your boys from Like It or Not sent you, and you get 15% off your order. You can also order at chpeptides.com and enter Like It or Not at checkout for 15% off your order. So do not delay. Call today. That's CH Peptides. Products are for research use only, not intended for human or animal use. Complete Health Peptides makes no claims or promises regarding the effects of any product. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Thompson Construction. Thompson Construction is an excavating and grading general engineering contractor based right here in Ukiah, California. They specialize in septic system installation and repairs, land and site development for residential, commercial, agricultural, anything you got going on. These guys can handle it. No job too big or too small. At Thompson Construction, they love what they do and they take the utmost pride in their work. Customer satisfaction and great attention to detail is a major goal of these guys. So give them a call today, 707-391-7679 for your free quote. That's 707-391-7679. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by The Thirsty Axe. Go to thirstyaxe.com to check out all of their upcoming events. They have bands, they have DJs, they always have good shit going on there. They also have on every single Wednesday night, it's trivia night, ladies and gentlemen. Trivia night. Who else has trivia night? No one but The Thirsty Axe. And every Thursday is karaoke. Oh my gosh, you guys. If you haven't been there for a karaoke night, you need to get your asses down there because it's a blast. So go to thirstyaxe.com. Check out all of their events. Go there, have a drink, throw some axes, play some pool, enjoy yourselves. And thirstyaxe.com for all of their upcoming events. The boys at Pure Blends Barbershop have done it again, ladies and gentlemen. Voted 4 years in a row best barbershop in Lake and Mendocino counties. That's right. If you want to go to the best, that would be Pure Blends Barbershop. Call right now to book an appointment, 707-472-6097. Get yourself looking good like Drew and I do at Pure Blends Barbershop. Spring is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen, and you have a project that needs to be done, and we have the people to do that project. DC Customs, that's who we're talking about. You have a truck that needs a lift or an exhaust or new tires, or you want to pimp out your ride, DC Customs is the place to do it. Go to dccustoms.net or call right now to get your project started at 707-463-2227. That's the OG's DC Customs. My name is Carter Lane.
I'm Drew Nickel.
Welcome to the show.
Whether you like it or not.
Oh my God. I think you have a problem.
This just gets me hype. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Bumpy top.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, dude. Turn it up.
What's up? What's up? What's up? What's cracking out there in Like It or Not land, everybody?
Yeah, greetings and salutations.
The word is good. The word is good.
The word. What's the good word, dude? How you been?
I've been great.
Yeah?
Wonderful.
Yeah?
Can't complain.
Your mustache is looking...
Thanks, bro.
I'm glad I'm finally starting to wear off on
dude,
you a little bit.
Hey, if you can't beat them, join them. That's what I always say.
That's it, dude.
You know what I mean? So
you're doing just fine.
Yeah, here we go, dude.
Now just don't trim it for 2 years.
Okay. Got it.
You'll be fine.
You're going to see the comment section just blowing up with, look at these two assholes with the mustaches.
What do they think they are? Tombstone?
Yeah. Yeah, dude.
Like, fucking ain't right, dude.
Yeah. If you got something to say to us, you can give us a call, actually, or a text message at 707-234-8926.
Oh, I thought you had it memorized.
I almost did, dude. Almost did. Give us a call. Give us a text. Shoot us a text.
Yeah. You got any guest suggestions? Just call or text that number. We'd love it.
We'll never get back to you.
We will talk about it at least 3 or 4 weeks after you call.
Yeah, don't worry about it. We're real. The turnaround here is really quick. Okay, it's quality, and you know. So yeah, give us a call. Nice to be here. Good to see you, Drew. Welcome to the show.
You too. What's up, Kelly? Welcome back.
Hey, Drew, how's it going, man?
Kelly in the house.
Yeah.
Yo, what's up, dude?
Kelron. What's your last name again?
Mayhew.
Mayhew, dude. There
Kelron.
you go.
Yeah.
Isn't that your name, Kelron?
Or Hubbard.
Yeah, dude.
Kelron Hubbard.
Kelron Hubbard, dude. You remember when we had Kelly on, right?
Yeah.
He was talking. We were talking about Oregon.
Yeah, dropping some Oregon, dropping some old Mendo stories.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oregon. I don't remember that part.
Aren't you from Oregon?
I'm from Oregon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have told you guys some
Yeah.
life
Oh,
stories.
okay. That wasn't the topic of the podcast.
No, but you. I don't. That's what I remember. We were talking about you, like your old man and shit, and just like how it was, dude.
The legend of Bob Mayhew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coyote Bob.
Okay. I'm getting it now.
Coyote
getting it
Bob,
now.
dude.
Little background.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you been, dude?
I've been great, man.
Yeah.
Just living our dream, really,
Yeah.
Yeah, Mendo's held us well. We're still cruising and making it work somehow and raising kids and, keeping food on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's all that matters, dude.
That's
You know?
that's
it.
life right there.
that's it.
And just try and stay happy and through it all too. That was like part of what I was just chatting about before I got on the podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, just finding a way to stay blissed.
Yeah.
How you doing with that? You good?
Stay blissed.
Yeah. I'm just checking on my boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm running on fumes. That's where I'm at.
I bet you are, dude. You
Yeah.
got a lot going on.
You gotta work hard and play hard, So sometimes you run on fumes for a day or two, and then
Yeah.
you equalize out, and
Yeah.
then you move forward.
Don't forget to hit the stabilizer in the morning.
Yeah.
What's that, a bong rip?
Yeah, your bong rip or your spliff.
Yeah. Yep. I gotta have lots of those throughout the day. Otherwise.
Well, yours is the Zin.
Yeah.
When do you put in the first Zin?
I go to
Is there like a rule for you? Because you kind of have rules for yourself.
I go to work at 7. I have to be there at 7,
AM.
and I make my tea,
Yeah.
my throat coat, and
Okay.
I put in a Zin probably around 7:30, 8 o'clock. And
All
I
right,
sit
so
there outside in the freezing cold, and I drink my hot tea, and I have my first Zin, and I say hello and good morning to everyone. And
Zin in the lip, tea in the
In the
cup.
dip.
Yeah. You put you ever try putting the Zins in the in the tea?
no,
That might be something. Nicotine tea.
Oh, is that what the Zins are? Those little white nick patches?
They call them pillows, which is like the
Upper
gayest
Decker lip
thing
pillow.
ever,
Oh.
dude. But like, yeah,
it's a power pillow, dude.
the power pillow.
Yeah.
Those little pouches
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
that made chewing not disgusting anymore.
Yeah, they're pretty intense, man.
Have you had one?
I tried one. Yeah.
Would you like to have another one right now?
No, it'd make me
okay.
sick.
Okay.
That's what
Yeah.
it did to me. He gave me
No,
one. I
come
put it
on,
in a
dude.
cab in L.A. and I was like,
pussy.
oh, dude, I thought they were drugging me, trying to take me to Tijuana, dude.
Yeah, totally.
I was,
Sell my fucking
but it didn't work.
sell my organs for top dollar, dude.
We ended up at a Sublime show instead.
Fuck, couldn't get nothing for them organs, dude.
Tried to take you to the donkey show, but you wouldn't go.
Oh man, yeah, dude, I hear that. 444 right on the dial. All right, so let's chat, man. So the world's a crazy place these days, right?
I'm trying to stay out of it.
That's really
I've kind of given up.
That's really a good way to kind of look at it. You know what I mean?
Is it? I don't know if it's good, but it's what I'm doing right now because I'm up to here. I've had it. I don't want to hear anything about either side. I mean, of course, tonight I would love to hear your guys' perspective about what's going on in the world. However, when
You can just go sit over there, dude.
yeah, I'm going to join Joseph tonight and produce this motherfucker. No, but I've just kind of reached a point where I'm like, God damn it, dude. I can't really engage. I've been overstimulated. I need a little break. I'm thinking I deleted Facebook off my phone today. I'm thinking about getting rid of my Instagram. Like, just need a kind of a refresh.
That's never a bad plan.
Right.
Yeah. Why make it easy for them to track your every thought?
Yeah.
I feel like ever since those platforms came on deck, and I tinker with them and put my thoughts on there now and then. But I just feel like, I am just logging. I'm putting my information on the list. Whatever that list may be in the future, not hard to data mine at all. In
Right.
fact, it's just right there for them.
Yeah.
If you're ever a subject matter, you might just pull you up on whatever database they pull you up on, and we're just volunteering everything.
Yeah.
Like right down to like, oh, I'm so sad today or whatever. And
Totally.
or this or
Feelings,
that's bugging me.
emotions. Yeah. All of that.
Yeah.
Plus you get sold to, right?
Oh,
Like-
absolutely. I mean, every data point collected from you is a piece of valuable information.
To sell you whatever it is that they think you're interested in by the
Yeah, or to sell the next person who's trying to sell you something, like, or to sell the, there was a documentary on, I can't remember what it's called right now, but on how political parties utilize Cambridge Analytica's information, and that was all. I'm probably gonna get this wrong, but like more or less, Cambridge Analytica and was it Palantir, right? Like they aggregate information for whatever purpose, for marketing, for sales, but also for political parties to realize which demographics they need to target in small areas so they can be more selective about where they spend their money.
Sure.
Because they might have like a whole region over here that's pretty much handled, but there's, a few pockets that they got to get to. And so they'll pay Cambridge Analytica and Palantir for access to
their
all their data
information.
points so they can get an idea of like the personalities that are there.
Yeah.
And then they can specialize the message that might just tick that group off, get them down to the polls on whichever side they want them to be on.
Yeah.
And not only that, like the crazy thing that's like, you start to look into this is like, there's so many billionaires now, and it's like, you got Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel, and the list goes on. And you start looking at these guys and like all these companies that they started that made them billionaires. And like the reality of it is like you said, if it's all about data harvesting, not only for all the reasons for mentioned, but also to put into these AI predictive models to start to be able to predict behavior and do all that. If you read like Mark Zuckerberg's, not the movie they put out about him that they want you to believe, but like his origin story of like how he just kind of all of a sudden had Facebook, you can trace a lot of these origins back to these original applications, even the internet itself being like military programs where they're developed by the military because they have all of this money. But then the government has rules in America and it can only do so much with these certain things. You could call them weapons if you want, but it's illegal to use weapons against your own people. So they give this technology out to certain people to then put a company name on and propagate. So it looks like, okay, Facebook was this thing created by this guy, Mark Zuckerberg. But if you really like look into it, you're like, or was it created by the military, CIA, dark web, like, dark, whatever, and given to these people in order for them to go out and be this face? Because like what's happening is that's how they're circumventing government law. Like if you look at like NASA, remember when NASA would take you to the moon and everything was like, the government, USA, NASA, space? Well, what's happened to space? Right? Now all of a sudden you got billionaires racing to go to space, right? And why? Like, well, because if space is privatized, then all of the things that they find in space, there's no obligation to the public to disclose it. Right. And that can be happening with social media. It could be happening with going to space, happening with like Palantir in the control state, which is what you and I were texting back and forth about, where it's like all of these things are happening. And it's very interesting to see how it's going to be used in the future, because technology is like, could be used for good or could be used for bad. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're using it in the present to track down people who are undocumented.
Yeah. And that was kind of like where you and I, kind of like had a, a frictional conversation when we were talking. You and I have always been like friends as far as like seeing at parties, come over, jam guitar, right? And I admittedly, like I get on this podcast and I try to say what I think, right? And admittedly, I'm not always going to say that everything I say is correct, but it's also like, well, let's put it out there and have a dialogue about it, right? And you had sent me video of a woman getting arrested by ICE, and I was just kind of like, you know, it was obviously in an emotional video where this woman was like pleading not to be taken back to wherever it was that she had come from or whatever the case may be, right? And I was just kind of like, why are you sending me this? And you were like, well, you know, you can speak for yourself, but you're like, dude, I'm tired of like my friends, the Trump supporters, being like callous to the fact that this is like what is the result of the policies that they've chosen and voted for, right? I mean, and you can correct it however you want, but like, and I was kind of like, I mean, yeah, I guess you're right, but just, you know, because you support a specific person doesn't mean like these types of things aren't just used to get us all up in arms about it, right?
Well, I think I don't think it's just being utilized to get us up in arms. You know, I think that the environment that's been cultivated to get us up in arms has been systematically brought together by the media spheres on left and right. You know, not just all the right, not just the left, but there's definitely, you know, an atmosphere that's been created to get us sort of up at arms with each other.
Yeah.
And divided.
Absolutely divided.
Completely divided into two camps.
And I think that's something that, you know, one of the reasons I pick on you a little bit, and I pick on the few friends, I have a handful of great friends that are, you know, maybe not Trump supporters, but they voted for Trump because of X, Y, or Z.
Sure.
You know, and thank God I do, because it's actually helped me temper my tongue when I want to just start lashing out at people like, man, you think this, and here's what I think's messed up about that, you know. And I remember like, oh, this one of my best friends, you know, might be in that category. You know, I might have to, you know, pick on him as well, and I don't want to, you know. And so it definitely it just hits you in the face every day. Like you say, you're tired of looking at it. I'm freaking tired of looking at it too, but it's really happening. You know, we're being torn apart and divided in all, you know, every which way, because anger is a lot easier to propagate in people than an intellectual idea. Mm-hmm. Like if you're going to give somebody a great idea, that has to be sold. You got to tell them all about it. They got to be able to digest, you know, how you're going to fix the world with your great idea.
You got to create buy-in from logic.
Thank you. And a lot of people don't even have the logic. You know, a lot of people are just kind of in their
because everybody runs emotionally.
Well, sure. Yeah. Emotions are running through all of us for sure, man. And it's easier to harness emotions. I feel like that's something that the mania of whichever candidate it might be. And that's where Trump's pretty brilliant, is he harnesses emotion. Even though I think it's negative, he harnesses a lot of negative emotion because people are pissed, or they're angry, or they're let down, or they're feeling like their government's left them behind, and or they're feeling like, you know, all these, you know, immigrants are pouring over the border and they shouldn't be, and it's pretty easy to harness that. And it's easy to harness people's anger with the economy. Like, oh shit, the economy's so bad down. Like, let's let this genius figure it out because he's a billionaire. He'll fix it, you know. And so there is a lot of anger and frustration that's fueling, you know, people's, you know, positions today, and probably always has been, really, but especially right now, man. And that divisiveness is what scares me a lot. Like that it has people so divided that like we're friends. We should be able to see each other and even talk about the things we think differently about. But we're so afraid to, really, in general, because we don't want to deal with it. You know, we just don't want to deal with the conversation even because it's so exhausting. You know, and it seems like there's a universe A and a universe B of information. Like you're over here maybe, and I'm over here maybe, and somewhere in between, I'm sure we mix for sure, because it's not all like that.
Right.
You know, but, you know, we could go down the list and pull on any thread you want to, man. I mean, I'm pretty aggravated by the fact that we have, you know, no transparency in the Epstein files. Like, really, that's clearly being suppressed. They're not really, you know, investigating or interviewing all these just multitudes of women who've been raped.
Right. And they arrest the fucking Prince Charles again. Like, what the fuck? You
makes headlines, man. It's like, we're doing something about it.
It's just like, throw them a little red meat. It's a fucking joke, dude, and it's embarrassing.
Or one day it's like, don't eat Tylenol. Like, you don't eat Tylenol, that's going to kill you. That's like that's the little piece of, you know, distraction that day. And then it's invade Venezuela and go take out some guy because he's a bad guy. There's a lot of fucking bad guys in the world, man. Like, if we go around just systematically taking out bad guys, You know, like look what's happening in Mexico right now. You know, like we went and helped them take out a bad guy, and now the whole place is on fire. There's all kinds of shit melting down there because it's not to be fucked with. You know, I mean, let them do their business down there, and let's stop, you know, making it easy for all the drugs to cartel up here. Our government's been allowing that shit to happen. There's been a drug gun trade going on for as long as we've been alive.
But don't you think that goes hand in hand with a porous border? Like the same way people are coming across the border illegally is the same way drugs are getting across the border illegally. Whether you're trafficking drugs, whether you're trafficking weapons, or whether you're trafficking people, if you have a free-for-all at a border, you're going to get that shit.
100%. I couldn't agree more. The border is an issue that I think we both agree on. Like the border needs to be sealed up and secure. But when it comes to drugs getting over the border, I'm sure there's a lot more showing up in semi-trucks that are legally moving through that border by bribes and by the system that's, you know, there for fair trade that has Mexican trucks going up and down through the United States.
I mean, you're right about that. I think the reality of if you really trace the true origins of drug cartels, is going to come from the CIA because they raise their funds through illicit trafficking.
Yeah, look back in the Reagan years and everything we did to systematically devolve any sort of, you know, prosperous democracy throughout Central and South America. You know, we've been basically, you know, taking them apart and installing, you know, strong men that would support our business arrangements more importantly than democracy. You know, and like, this is the thing, man, like America is, let's not spit on her. It's a great place. This is a wonderful opportunity to live.
Sure.
But it's always been a bully on the block. You know, we've been pretty badass. We're the baddest ass army, military in the world. You know, we're the baddest ass economy in the world. And the powers that be have done pretty crooked, gnarly things to maintain and establish that that dominance, you know, in many generations, you know. And so for us to all of a sudden, you know, in the last 10 or so years, wake up and be like, man, it's all corrupt. It's all corrupt. Like, yeah, it's all corrupt. It's always been corrupt. You know, it's like, you know, we've had, you know, nothing but, you know, when was it great? Go back and tell me an example of when was America great?
Right before Kennedy got shot? Was it great then?
Well, it was working.
I mean, I wasn't alive, but wasn't that?
But, I mean,
wasn't that the
that's
heyday of America?
I mean, there's the civil rights movement, right? And there's people being blown down the street by fire hoses, and it was great. You know, there's like people marching in the streets for the right to drink out of the same drinking fountain. Was that great? You know, I mean, before that, what did you have? You know, like the women's suffrage movement, women's rights to vote, you know, and it's always been an imperfect situation being built up into something, trying to get somewhere to be a better, more perfect union, but never perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But that being said, like, I think that there's an undeniable, and this is just me speaking it, like, there's an undeniable, I've been noticing how things aren't as great as they used to be. I grew up in Ukiah, and man, I don't think there's anywhere that you can go in Ukiah where you can say this place is better than it was 10 or 20 years ago.
That's when it was great. Bro, we had some great fucking years here. I'm telling you. I mean, I came to Ukiah in 2003, and I saw my first big patch of weed in the backyard at Uncle Eddie's house, and I was like, this is great. Like I'm moving here tomorrow.
I grew up on the river, playing on the river, paintballs, fishing, shooting guns. My parents, I wouldn't see them for hours and days. Now that same stretch of river I grew up on, right by our ranch there,
Yeah.
it's so filled with fucking meth and bums and trash.
Yeah.
That you would never let your kid go down there and play in the river and fish.
So how did this happen?
Right. That's the
We
point.
ask ourselves, how did we get here? You know, and I mean, I have my theory.
I'd love to hear it.
Is that the United States had and this is, you know, this goes back to that civil liberties movement, right? Like back whenever people were marching in the streets, Martin Luther King, the Black Panther Party, you know, the civil rights movement was on the march. And how was that quelled? That was quelled with drugs. You know, and that's when the CIA, the FBI finally stepped in and said, you know, fire versus fire seems to like keep instilling more power. Like the civil rights movements were just moving forward. You know, you go burn down a few Black Panther clubhouses and you get 5 more. you know, with more, you know, more courage, more respect. You know,
then it was let them kill themselves, let them fight amongst themselves.
Thank you, bro. And so like that's where heroin and coke started to really become the weapon of choice. You know,
And crack was epidemic was in the 80s, right?
crack was in the 80s, but back then you had heroin.
Yeah.
You know, and like I believe that's where the war on drugs came from, and it became a self-cleaning oven called the American private prison system. You know, and now we're even like steps further into like Geo Group and these these operators that are setting up, you know, refugee camps, right? Like who puts that together? Who's getting paid? You know, there's companies getting paid for that shit. You know, like who's going to be setting up the camps in these dozen or so countries where the United States or Trump has made agreements with that we're going to ship people to? And like, let's talk about, you know, wow. I mean, are we okay with that? Like, are we just going to start picking people off the streets and sending them to camps in Uganda? Like, cause I get it. Like send the criminals home, you know, but these people who have been here paying their taxes and you know, statistically, immigrants are far less likely to commit a major crime than a homegrown. You know, somebody like Jeremy was born here with all this entitlement in us. You know, we gotta get rich, gotta make it at any cost. You know, and so, and forget about white collar crime, like the real criminals, like these guys that are just embezzling heaps and heaps and then getting pardoned by Trump. Like he's just letting all kinds of people go that are
Or
guilty
all these
of major.
corrupt politicians that get caught red-handed and nothing ever happens to them.
Nothing ever happens to them, but we're worried
We don't
about
ever prosecute any of them anymore.
right.
There's no recourse for anything.
Yeah. And we're a country of immigrants. You know, like my grandfather stowed away on a boat to get over here from Germany when he was 12 or 13 years old. You know, ran away from home, hide on a boat, wakes up at sea. Oh shit, gets to America with nothing. Works his way back to Germany and comes back. It was a lot different then, for sure.
Well, yeah, because I mean, so were mine, right? But they went through Ellis Island. So, you know, I mean, you can.
That doesn't move me at all, though, man. I mean, I feel like we all came here and kind of kicked some other brown people around and you know, shuffled them over. There's a lot of darkness to our history, you know.
But there's darkness to everybody's history.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we can talk about slavery, right? And we were talking about this on the last podcast. If you look at the real origins of slavery, where it was created, it's Arabia and Africa. Where is slavery still happening today?
Everywhere.
And specifically in Africa, in Arabia. I mean, there's specifically like, there's darkness in every history. I would agree by saying like the immigration system into the United States is what needs to be fixed. We should allow the people that are here that are doing good and paying taxes a path to stay here. We should be bringing people in, letting them work, letting them do their thing. Mm-hmm. If they want to stay, this is how you stay. If they want to go back, this is how they go back. But to say that everybody has a right to just come to the border and be here and have a life, like, I just disagree with that.
Well, it ain't going to work. And I'm not saying I agree with that either. That's where we agree. Like, there needs to be a border, and there needs to be a process for getting through that border. And that's the thing that's like agonizing about what's going on right now, because we're, you know, if they were just going after the criminals and getting these people out of here that really need to go, I wouldn't even be mad about it. You know, but what I'm seeing every day is another story of somebody who was going through the process, who hadn't committed any crimes, and shows up to their court hearing and gets hauled off, and they spend several months in Texas and then shipped to who knows where, you know, and then their kids are going with them, or, you know, there's nightmare after nightmare, people being dragged out of their cars and shot in the street. You know, that guy, what was his name? I'm sorry, I can't pull it up right now, but he had a pistol on him and a carry permit.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, let's say it.
Ready?
Yeah, in Minnesota. Yeah. I don't watch the news enough to know his name.
You got to know about this. Renee Good and Alex Petty.
Petty.
Okay, so like
we saw it all.
Renee Good, you know, she clearly wasn't threatening that guy's life with her car. She was moving forward this way, but if you look at her body language and the way she was speaking, hey, I'm not mad at you guys. You know, and pow, 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 and that guy's like plugging her in the head. Whoa, okay. And then you get Alex Petty, who is clearly agitated. He's down there being a protester, which is our right. You know, our right to gather and our right to stand up to authoritarian, you know, BS. It should be a freaking galvanized piece of the Constitution that we're all proud of. You know, like I'm proud of my Second Amendment, my Fourth Amendment, my First Amendment. You know, I wish I could say what they all are, but I'm not that educated, you know. But that, you know, that right there was like, an interesting piece of pushback, because there they went and took the gun away he didn't have it in his hand. He wasn't brandishing a weapon, but how quick did DHS say he was? Right away, within minutes, they're like, this man was down there brandishing a weapon. He's a terrorist and he was there to kill people. They start narrating the story right away. And then, but what really happened on clear account from multiple angles of video is that those guys came up, started kicking his ass and her ass, and these people were getting their asses kicked, pepper sprayed. They start kicking his ass, taking him to the ground, pull the gun out and run away with his gun, and then pow, 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 pow. Okay, gun's gone. Now you got pow, pow, pow. And what happened? What made the pushback about that one so, I think, effective was that right away the president says, well, he shouldn't even have had a gun. Mm-hmm. Oh, really? From the party that's all about the Second Amendment. Okay, so who's talking about taking guns away? If you have a gun and a permit, it should be okay to shoot you in the head?
Yeah, I mean...
should it be?
Should it be okay to shoot you in the head? I think that those are both examples of two groups of people behaving badly. And I think when two groups of people behave badly, bad shit happens.
Hold on.
Sure.
Standing in the street saying, hey, don't kick this lady's ass.
But he wasn't standing in the street.
Yeah, he was.
No, there's video of the guy kicking their cars and denting in ICE cars.
That was weeks earlier. Yeah, I know that.
Weeks, days, months. What does it matter? It shows exactly what that guy's fucking outlook on life is like, it's okay to kick in police cars.
I'm down. I would kick that car too.
Sure.
If I didn't fear for my life, I'd kick that car.
Well, that's what I mean. But if you fuck with the bull, you get the horns, bro. I mean,
but do you get executed or do you get an assault charge?
You would never find me in a position where I'm trying to stand between a fucking federal law enforcement and whatever they're trying to do and have me and my gay lover talking shit to them.
Well, God bless them. I'm glad they did, because I don't have the courage to be there right now, because I'm afraid for my life. Sure. I want to raise my kids.
Sure.
But there's got to be some blood in the way that will stand up and say it. And every time somebody stands up and gets in their face and gets shot down, and we all justify it because they shouldn't have been there, I think we're kind of poo-pooing on.
I'm not justifying it at all. I don't think that lady, we talked about it on this podcast and we both said like, dude, that's terrible. We don't think that should be the outcome, but it's also, if you do stupid shit, like that's what's going to end up happening.
I doubt that's stupid enough. I mean, lunging forward in your car when the guy's right here and you're going this way doesn't warrant getting shot in the head.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But like Drew and I both said a couple podcasts ago, like him and I are the quintessential fuck the government, fuck the police kind of people, right? We grew up that way listening to punk rock and fucking reggae, right? But I think that people, if you're going to get into a situation like that, you must be smart about it. Like if we're going to protest, like we must be smart about it. And for me, watching the video of the angle, whatever the fuck that I saw, it looked like the lady was in the mix of all these fucking people with guns, right? These fucking federal agents with guns. And they were saying, get out of your car, get the fuck out of your car. You're in the middle of the street, get out of your car. She didn't listen. And then she tried to drive off and then she got capped. I'm not saying she could have got killed. I'm saying she could have been way smarter than that, because there's no fucking way that I, with all my hatred towards people like that, would have been in that situation, because I'm fucking smarter than that. Like you don't fuck around with these people with fucking guns. You have to fight them a different way. There has to be another way. So for me, it's like, I agree with Drew was saying like this, he should have never shot her. She should have fucking never been in that position to fucking be in the middle of all that shit with a car and not listen to them when they have fucking guns drawn and pointed at them.
Well, you got multiple people screaming at you and there's guns in your face, and it's like, which way do you go? Do you stop? Do you get out? Do you move forward? I mean, I think she fucked up when she lunged forward, because obviously she got shot. That was a mistake. But I still don't think it justifies or warrants the shooting.
Yeah, I don't.
And there should be an investigation, a clear investigation, and there's not.
All of that is true, but I just think that those little hotspot things are put out there to get people so riled up.
Well, that's true.
That to where it's like you're to where people are mad at their friends because their friend has a different opinion because of these things. Like, I saw this whole thing going around. Oh, ICE is arresting 5-year-olds now. Boo. And you're like, okay, is that really what's happening? No, they're arresting his dad, and his dad ran, and they're left with a 5-year-old. Okay, well, that's a different story. But the
other thing of it is, too, just really quick, is that, like, I see what my feed shows me, you see what your feed shows me, and you see what your feed shows you. I guarantee that this same video was being narrated and told both
in a different light.
Both lights.
Yeah.
Right? Look at the lady, her tires were pointed this way. It's obvious she wasn't trying to hit anybody. The video I see is the same video with a guy saying, look at this, he actually hit her. He had fucking damage done before, whatever. It's like, it's made on to either side. Like, that's why I'm so fucking over it, because there's nothing that you can tell where's the truth in this.
Well, can I just say something? Because, like,
of course you can. That's why you're here, dude.
The point.
No, you can't. You have to sit there and be quiet now.
The point about, like,
I'm turning your mic off.
All this happening to inflame tensions between guys like me and you, I think, is the small fry. The big fry is that this is all happening to inflame areas in our country to create civil unrest to the degree where somebody will pick up a firearm and shoot back. Because you and I can say, oh, they shouldn't have done this or they shouldn't have done that. But until you're in that war zone, feeling your neighborhood being torn apart and people being ripped out of cars and dragged off, and there's all this chaos going on around you, and your heart's racing and you're pissed off because it's not American. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. This shouldn't be happening this way. And so you're getting bold.
Emotional.
You're emotional and you're bold. And you know what? Like, making the smart choice, that's might be a Navy SEAL move. They may know how to handle those high stress situations with smart choices, but most people don't.
And that's why the fucking cops shouldn't have shot her.
100%, bro.
Yep.
What are they? You know what I mean? Like, that's a situation they should have been trained on, right?
And they probably, yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah. But to pull it out a little bit further, I feel like this country is under attack right now, from the inside. And it's from this authoritarian, wannabe dictator that we voted in, that's been voted in. And one of the things I think they're concerned about is that they're not very popular right now. If you look at any of the polls, even on Fox polls, they're not very popular. The things they're doing, people are pissed off. And
You're talking about the Trump administration?
I'm talking about
and they're even more pissed off at the things they're not doing, i.e. Epstein and on and on.
That's all part of it, yeah. And the instability that they're creating, in the markets. Like, I mean, I hold some Bitcoin. I'm watching it get squeezed hard right now, bro. Like, and it's all about this instability. Every time that guy tweets out something or does some next radical move, shit tanks, and there's all that. But like, they have a problem coming up. It's called the midterms. And I believe that, if they don't somehow stifle the election in certain areas, and they even say it out loud, Trump's even said, I only need it in like 15 areas. 15 places need to be fixed. We need to put ICE at these polling booths to make sure there's no rigged election. And you got Steve Bannon out there blasting about, well, we ain't gonna let them steal it again. And so, like, that's a whole other thread we can pull on, is like, was the last one stolen? Was the 2020 stolen? If that one was stolen, Jesus, why didn't they steal 24? Because that one was pretty important. Hello, the same guy's back here to do it again. He's got immunity from the Supreme Court, basically telling him he can't get in trouble for anything. So how's he going to operate this time?
Well, the Supreme Court just turned down his tariffs.
That's turning down his tariffs. But back whenever they gave him presidential immunity, I'm not saying they agree with him on everything, but back whenever he did you hear when he argued for presidential immunity? His lawyers were literally arguing to the Supreme Court that he should be able to use SEAL Team 6 to take out a political opponent if he was a threat to democracy. Okay, so and they agree with that. They gave him that right. So he's basically running amok right now. No, there's nothing that can touch that guy. He's Teflon Don. And so here we are with this sort of tantrum bully that is just, he wants his way, and how's he going to get it? If it comes to the polling booth and it's a clear shot, and even without whatever election fraud you can muster up. I mean, even Bill Barr was like, there was no substantial election fraud. And that Bill Barr was a lapdog for Trump the whole time.
And he's also in the Epstein files.
Yeah, they're all guilty,
so
bro.
There could be some blackmail going on,
Well, bro, I doubt it's blackmail, but I just don't know why. And I can tell you why.
I mean, if you look into Bill Barr and his dad, they're not necessarily like the most upright people to be sitting there being like.
I ain't saying that. I'm saying he was Trump's attorney general, and he did his bidding the whole time. And in the end of the day, under oath, he admitted there was no substantial voter fraud that could have changed the election. There might have been a little peak here and a little peak there, but nothing substantial. Are you familiar with Peter Navarro and the Green Bay sweep, or the Green Bay sweep?
Tell me about it.
Well, it's the scheme. It's the electors scheme that they came up with. Peter Navarro was one of Trump's attorneys that came up with the elector scheme, to where if you can just stop the certification, okay, that'll create a constitutional crisis. That's what J6 was all about. Okay, if you can stop the certification, all you have to do is stop that, is get Pence out of the building, because without the vice president there to certify the election after the vote, it doesn't happen. And there's no provision in the Constitution that tells you what to do otherwise if it doesn't happen. So the plan was stop him from signing that, move it back to the legislatures, let the legislatures decide. All the legislatures are stacked Republican. All these they're heavily Republican because of the extreme amount of gerrymandering that's been going on since 2008. And gerrymandering's been going on since forever, but like extreme gerrymandering since 2008 with Red State. Okay, the program that the Republicans have systematically went into each district since then,
bro,
and managed.
Our whole state just got gerrymandered.
I know.
What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about gerrymandering, and our state.
I know, but
and our state did it in a reaction. Hold on, back up. Yeah, our state did just do that.
Correct.
Okay, because why? Because Abbott Kinney, or is it Abbott Kinney, or what's the guy, the governor of Texas?
If it's wrong, it's wrong. It's not okay for us to do it, and then if we're not for them to do it.
So should we not take dark money? But they do.
What do you mean?
Dark money. Like, okay, politicians take dark money, right? Like, it's big contributions go into these PACs, right? And every time a bill comes up to eliminate dark money or expose dark money, and I've watched this several times where it's a vote across the board and the Republicans all cut it down and the Democrats all vote for it. They want to vote to expose dark money, right? Well, the vote fails, and so we're going to continue to be able to utilize dark money. So the Republicans take heaps of dark money that you can't tell where it came from, and so do the Democrats, right? And so, like, since Trump sees this election coming where it's going to be an issue, he's saying it out loud to Tennessee, to Texas, to like all these Republican districts, gerrymander the shit out of your place because we need your seats. And so Governor Abbott went ahead and did it. There was a big controversy over there. And so Newsom, in response to that, said, fuck, we're going to have to do it here too. We're going to show you what. If you guys are going to do it there, we're going to do it here. Mm-hmm. And it is messed up because the problem is we could have a Republican governor next year, right? We could have the other side could take the same power and rip it the other way. You know, and so like we need to get rid of gerrymandering across the board.
Correct.
It needs to be.
And Gavin Newsom.
I don't really have a beef with Gavin Newsom. I don't even. Everybody hates the guy. I'm sure he's made some shady deals, but when he articulates, and I saw him take apart Sean Hannity, I'm like, right on. This guy really knows his shit.
Yeah,
he can talk.
Yeah, he can talk, right? Yeah. But he's also a fucking crook.
Yeah, we don't need to get into that. We can stay on subject.
Yeah, I'm not trying to get.
But here's the point. Like, we can argue all this old stuff about like. Hey, the elections,
cheers, bro.
Stolen or not, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll drink this with you.
What are you fucking babysitting that shit, dude?
He is, man. He's melting it down.
How much you getting paid?
Not enough, dude.
How much you getting paid to babysit?
No, I appreciate you having me on the show, Drew, so that we could have this conversation for real. Because, like, I have, like I said, several friends that are in the other sphere of thought, and I continue to love my people, but I do get kind of like, oh man, I can't believe that man actually walked up and said that he thinks we're better off now. Like, how are we better off? You know, like.
I think that's a deep conversation, right? And I listen to you talk, and I want you to have the ability to say what you want to say out here because I think that it's important, and I don't think that you're necessarily like wrong. I'm not here to counter argue or any of those things.
Yeah.
But my question is, how would it be different if Kamala Harris was elected? And I was like, it's not going to be different. And why is ICE running through our country doing what they're doing? It's the reaction to things that have happened over the last 4 years with a porous border that should have never been open. So there's no responsibility for the fact that one administration opened the border and let, millions and millions of people in, and then the next person gets elected and they're saying, I'm going to get them out because that's what the majority of the country wanted. And when that takes place, be like, oh, you're a dictator. It's like, well, just letting people into the country who aren't Americans is a dictatorial action in itself. To bring people in that are going to support your political view and to say that, oh, they're all tax-paying people, that's not true.
Is that the motive, like to just let them in so that they support your political view? Is that kind of the general consensus? Is that
I don't know that that's the only reason, but I definitely think that's part of it. You can't tell me that there isn't manipulation of voting. My grandma lives in Reno. She was in a home in California, and she had ended up with 3 or 4 different mail-in ballots in her mailbox that she can send in. To me, it's like,
well, you could send them in and get in trouble.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't sign somebody else's ballot. Hell no.
No, you wouldn't.
I wouldn't do that.
But there's a lot of people that would.
And they get caught.
No, they don't.
They check that shit.
How are they checking
They're
it?
checking that shit by hand.
By hand? They're going through the registry.
I'm not doing it.
They don't even check ID, bro. They don't even check ID. How are they checking to make sure that
if you have a ballot mailed out to you, it's because you're a registered voter?
There's plenty of people who are registered voters who are getting more than one ballot.
I'm just saying, I think what you're just saying is that you're pointing out that there is option for corruption because of these small things that you're seeing, right?
My point is this, is like, you think that if Kamala Harris or a Democrat and they're in there, that they're going to go in and pass a law that's any different. I think Trump ruffles your feathers and a lot of people's feathers, and he's a dictator and all these things. But the reality of it is both parties are doing the same fucking shit.
I disagree.
Yeah, we do disagree.
That's fine. I mean, it's okay to disagree. That's why we're here.
100%.
That's part of why I want to exercise with you as a bro is like,
100%.
I want my community to see that two men can sit here and disagree about something that should be talked about because we're Americans,
100%.
and we got to be able to come to terms with that,
So we're talking about ICE, and so let me ask you this: if an illegal alien or whatever you want to call it, because I know that's probably not
let's just say undocumented,
an undocumented person commits a crime in California, should they stay in California?
Bro, I'm not telling you that criminals should stay in California. I'm telling you that most of the people that are undocumented aren't criminals.
Okay, but if the ones that are arrested,
if they were focusing on that group of people, it'd be a different conversation, but they're not.
But here's the thing. In our state and in most of the jails, we have what do they call it? A sanctuary state and a sanctuary city. Okay? So what happens in red states or places that aren't a sanctuary city is that if an undocumented worker gets arrested, right, and they commit a crime and they find out they're undocumented, they call ICE. ICE comes and gets them and deports them.
Man, it's been happening for forever, right? Like we deport people.
Not in this state. In fact, what they keep saying is that what happens is they get arrested, they're undocumented. ICE says hold them. They release them back into the community instead of turning them over. Right. And then ICE is running through the community, shooting lesbians and arresting mommies. So it's like
it's fucked up.
It's fucked up, but it's not fair to say like, oh, they're dictators and they're doing all this when it's like our state could easily collect the illegal, the undocumented people committing crimes and send them back, and they don't. They turn them back into society.
It's not fair to say they're dictators. I'm not saying that he's a dictator just because of ICE. That's like just one little, drop in the bucket, bro. I mean, there's a lot more going on to this.
Biden signed how many executive orders with an automatic pen?
That doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter.
How do you know that
the pen is?
How do you know that he was the one that decided that's what he actually wanted?
I don't really
to write down.
Look, bro, you're not talking to a big Biden fan, first of all. I'm not sitting here like, oh, Biden's the man and he was doing it all right.
But that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Trump's the man, but if I got to pick between Biden and Trump, that's the fucking
Biden
choice.
Anymore. It was it was Harris, and it was the Democratic Party screwed up big time and threw Harris at us. Like, Biden should have stepped down. We should have had a clear process.
He won more. Biden won more votes than any president in history in this election that he didn't steal. He got all of these, 2 million votes more. Trump was ahead in all the polls. They closed the polls the next morning. Oh, here he is. Biden's winning by more votes.
Well, that was because they were counting the votes that were coming in by mail.
Is that all that it was?
Well, I don't say that's all it was.
So how come
part of
where
it,
where was his support in the second round?
But they knew that. The support in the second round was not for Kamala. Look at Kamala as a candidate. All right, when she ran for president before, she had no
I'm talking
votes.
about when Biden was running. How come people weren't stoked on him?
When he was running, he won.
And then he ran again, Kelly.
No, and when he ran again, he didn't. Kamala ran again.
No, he was running.
He dropped out, though.
Did he or did he not debate president?
He did, and he failed big
Right.
time. And so he stepped down.
Okay.
Right? We're not going to convolute that. He stepped down.
They pulled him down.
He didn't
Thank
step
God.
down.
I mean,
down.
yeah,
right.
That fool
He should have.
He didn't know what the fuck he was doing
He
at
should
that
have
point.
stepped down after round one, as soon as he was elected and saved the country. He should have been like, "This is it, boys. I'm not doing it again. So you got to figure out who the next candidate's going to be." That would have been more fair to the American people. I think we might have had a real choice. I voted for Kamala because I felt like she was a sane human being, and I felt like the other guy was insane. Okay, he's a malignant narcissist.
Even though she couldn't string two words together that
She's
made
not
any
the best
fucking
speaker.
sense.
She's
dude.
not a social speaker. She wasn't charismatic.
Which
No.
isn't a good quality for a president to have.
Well, look
I'd
at
rather.
Obama.
Obama was.
Bubba
really,
could talk his fucking ass off, and he was
I voted
garbage.
for Obama.
Well, that's why people vote. That's why usually we get charismatic presidents because people vote for them. Right? It's not about that they're like the greatest mind. It's just that people will vote for them, and that gets that party in there. Candidates are groomed and positioned to get in there.
Correct.
And
Exactly.
like I said, I don't think Kamala was. I pray she's not the next candidate. I saw some bullshit on Instagram that Kamala and OAC. No, please, come on. If there's anything that if we're gonna take this back from these guys, it's not gonna be with that kind of a combo. We need something that's definitely going to pull the manosphere in.
But so my point of view on all of this is that all of them are just as corrupt as one another. I think that's the truth. I think that the Democratic Party and all these folks and fellows are all just as corrupt as Trump and all the Republicans and all this shit in different ways, and they pull on different heartstrings of the public, right? And Trump, my biggest thing with Trump is the divisiveness. I've said that since day one, is the divisiveness. So in my opinion, and I've had this for a long time, but the whole fucking thing needs to burn down. And we need to create something new that's based on the middle, which is where most of us, up until the last couple of years, resided in. And I'm sick of getting the option of clown number one versus clown number two. And those are my choices. Mm-hmm. No, as an American fucking citizen, I should be able to say, fuck you, go back to the drawing board because these two are fucking clowns.
Well, and then what do you, I couldn't agree more.
And that doesn't happen without uniting.
I think that we have, when you burn it all down though, who's going to pick up the pieces and rebuild it? And unfortunately that's he who has the biggest stick. And the guys who hold the bully pulpit and hold the military.
Well, that's how it's been,
and have the billions.
Right. That's how it's been. But why can't it be different?
Well, because let's pray it could be different. But I'm not going to say it can't because I hate to disqualify the possibilities of the universe. Right. Anything is possible. But what it appears to be happening is that the human race on planet Earth is being consumed by a technocratic surveillance state, and that's really happening. We are being more and more addicted to our technology, and it's watching our every move. All right. And it's, basically steering us on the daily. And, that's, you've got people glorify the billionaires. They want to be rich, or they think that it's great to have more money than you could possibly spend, and I mean, put this in perspective, bro. If one man has $500 billion of wealth, Elon Musk, right? Is he like he's going to be a trillionaire, I think.
Yeah, but he's got 19 kids, so that's going to be split 19 different ways.
And imagine the way they
those kids are going to be hungry, dude.
Yeah, dude.
But you could spend, something like $3 million a day for 1,600 years and not even put a dent in that. All right. And that's the economic problem, I think, that capitalism has ran amok to the degree where you have one man that can spend $3 million a day for 1,600 years. And we're going to pick on these people that are freaking cringing to get over the border, that are hiking through the desert or whatever because they want to work in a tomato field or wherever the hell they can get a job. And that is so not the problem, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Certainly the border needs to get sealed up, right? There's a reason why they've kept it loose, right?
And what is it?
Well, I remember Bush liked the border open because you could have immigrant workers getting over here easily. My farm labor has always been dependent on
which is exploiting people.
Yeah,
it's
totally.
exploiting immigrant labor, which is not okay.
That's part of this country, bro. Like, that's why your house is cheap enough to buy. Like, that's why everything around us has been put together for a lower cost, because immigrant labor. Let's face it, it's really happening.
Sure, of course, but that's the whole point. Like, when I say like we should have a sealed border, it causes all of these like issues, but the same reason Bush wanted them in is the same reason Biden wanted them in, and is the same reason the people that are helping them get across the border want them to come across the border. They're exploiting those poor people for their own gain, and that's not right.
I mean, some are, yeah, absolutely. People are being exploited.
Bro, you can say that they're being exploited everywhere, but we're talking about a specific issue. Look it up. There's like something like 70% of the women that come across the border illegally are sexually assaulted.
I haven't looked that up.
You check it out. And there's coyotes, the drug cartel. Their main thing is trafficking people now. And what's happening? Kids are getting split away from their parents. They're getting sold into these pedo sex rings, never to be seen again.
How many of these vineyards, or how many of these construction crews or pot farms or what name it, how many of them don't have a handful of undocumented workers on them?
But
less and less these days, because that fucking industry sucks dick now.
Well, the weed industry and the vines too. The grapes suck too.
100%.
But it's tomatoes. I mean, like the whole thing. Like there's a great big place for these undocumented workers. And let me just point out one other thing. They come here, they get their paperwork, they somehow get EIN numbers and shit, and they pay taxes on those paychecks. They work for labor companies. Absolutely, they do. Hundreds of them.
Some do, but to say that they're all paying taxes is not true.
Most of them are.
We had a lot of.
If they're working for a labor company, they are.
We had a lot of undocumented workers that didn't pay any taxes at all
because you were paying them cash, right?
Yeah.
But if you hire them through a temp company, if you hire them through a labor company and do it properly to where you're not labor trafficking, then you're paying a labor company to pay their payroll. And they have all their taxes taken out. They have their Social Security, their Medicare, all that stuff gets taken out. And guess what? They can't refund it because all their paperwork's bullshit. Okay. So like they can't. So there's a lot of tax dollars coming into our system.
And are they going to see the benefit of those taxes ever?
They appreciate being here.
Okay, so there's
they
that.
They certainly do. I mean, those workers appreciate being here.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And how much are they paying in health insurance?
How much are they paying in health insurance?
Yeah.
I mean, are we going to pick apart health insurance now?
Well, I think if we're talking about them paying taxes.
How much are you paying in health insurance?
I'm paying $650 a month.
That's crazy.
And I have a $7,000 deductible.
Bro,
okay. What kind of health conditions do you have?
Right.
Is it worth it?
And if I don't pay it, then I come and I get my salary, my earnings taxed. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well,
so if I don't buy health insurance, so this is just my only issue is that when there's an actual, you kind of gloss over like, oh, that's just the way it is.
Bro, we can keep going, bro. This little hour and a half that we have right here to get into it, we have to gloss over to some degree.
No, but my point is like part of the reason why people are saying like we don't like this system of having undocumented people just coming into our country, regardless of whether they're paying taxes, is the fact that it does drag on the system. You get your car hit by people who don't have insurance. You have people going to the hospitals who don't have insurance. All of us are picking up for the bill for that. And the only thing I'm saying is not that those people don't deserve to be here or don't deserve a better life, but shouldn't the system be changed to where those people can function in our society like we do and pay the same costs and be a part of it?
Wasn't there?
That's legal?
What a lot of people are working on. They're getting scooped, bro. A
What
lot
do
of
you
these
mean?
people getting scooped up by ICE are in that system, trying to get legal citizenship, going through the process, and I know people who have done it.
But the issue is that they're here illegally to begin with.
You know what, man? Don't talk to everybody talking about their high and mighty position about legality.
I'm not taking a high
Go
and
back
mighty
to your
position.
pot farm and sitting there from 20 years ago, right? Back 20 years ago when you were definitely illegal, and tell me about your stance about legality. Because I've been a pot farmer outlaw my whole life, and legal didn't matter to me. It was actually just the man's business.
Sure.
You know, so all of a sudden we're going to get all, they're not legal, and have a righteous stance about that. I don't think so. I think that might be how you feel now, but I don't think their legality bothered you 10 years ago.
I'm not saying that it bothers me whether they're legal or illegal. What I'm saying is that the system, the whole idea of the fact that they have to come across the border illegally to be here is a problem.
Have you been down there?
And that could be fixed.
I mean, go experience poverty, bro. Like, get down where there's a mud floor and there's no opportunity. That's the problem. I think
Sure.
the real problem, bro, is the systematic, devolution of Central America. Like the way we've fair trade and all that stuff has done them no good. If America focused on how do we make better trade partnerships with these countries so that they have an economy to work with, they might not be crawling out of their skin to get over here.
I know, but I think you're missing the point of what I'm saying.
What is the point of what you're saying? That
Why-
they're dragging us down with the car insurance and health insurance?
No, bro. What I'm saying is, why can't they come here? Can't the legal system be shifted and changed?
Well, I don't have an answer for that, bro.
That's maybe what we should be talking to our politicians about.
But listen, man, there have been legal systems for that, and some of these asylum systems were legal. When a lot of these people came over here on asylum programs, legally showed up at the border, filled out all this stuff, and showed up to court, and those people are being removed. Mm-hmm. That's what's fucked up. It's not the criminals with the tats down their faces and crime wave guys that are getting pulled out of here. It's just everybody.
Well, I'm sure
and
they
anybody.
are too.
Yeah. It's like a grift, right? Like they're getting as much as they can, but it's a free for all. They're just stopping people in the streets. Where's your papers? Where are you from? Are you documented? Like it's not a surgical strike. Like
and where have you seen that happening?
On the news?
On the news.
Yeah, I've seen
Where
it
do you
happen on
watch-
social
where-
media.
where
I've
do you
seen it
get your
happen on
news?
Midas Touch. I listen to Adam Mockler. I listen to Brian Taylor Cohen. I listen to like several of the networks here and there a little bit, bits and pieces enough to know that it's not just being fabricated and thrown at me to manipulate me. And that's something where I think we disagree because I don't think I'm just being manipulated.
So you trust the media? You trust what
No,
the media?
don't box it up like that.
Well-
I don't just trust the media. I listen with a grain of salt and I listen with criticism.
You don't think
and I discern what
you
I
don't
believe
think
to be
that they're putting stuff on the news to particularly get you fired up, so that you
I don't think
feel
it's
a certain way?
particularly to get me fired up. No,
Okay.
but I think that does happen.
Sure.
It does happen for sure. But I don't think the coverage in Portland, Oregon, is just there to get me fired up. I think it's there because it's actually happening. Do I think that the coverage of Alex, is it Padilla, the man that got shot, is that coverage just there to get me fired up, or is that something that really happened? Okay, it really happened, bro.
Sure.
So yeah, I get fired up. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
I'm a gun owner. I want to be able to, pack my gun with my permit, walk down the street and know that I'm safe, that I'm making the world a safer place. Not that I might just get shot if some chaos erupts or if I have an opinion enough to open my mouth and get in it.
So we have a situation with the border, because that's what you and I have been kind of just talking about, and then we can move on to other things.
Yeah, let's go.
You know what I mean? But so what's your solution? Like, should anybody who wants to come here and be allowed to come here?
If I had the solution, okay, I might have a different position in life. I don't have the solution. I think the border needs to be sealed off.
Okay.
I agree with that.
All right.
I think there needs to be a systematic process for asylum for people who are in fear for their lives.
Agree with you there.
There's and there's real reasons to be feared for your life. Like it's messed up down there and messed up in a lot of places. Uh-huh. I think there should be a system. I think when immigrants come here and commit crimes, not just like, oh, you got a speeding ticket, but like you come here and rob a store, yeah, you should get sent the hell back.
Or rape a girl.
Or you rape a girl, you should get
Or
sent the hell
molest a
back.
child.
Bro, let's talk about that. I mean,
They're not being sent back in our state for doing that.
and I disagree with that.
Okay.
And we were on the same page.
But
there.
you're voting for the people who are still inflicting those policies.
Brother, I am voting
A sanctuary
against the person
sanctuary
that's in
city
there.
is exactly that. That if you arrest somebody who's committed a crime and they're undocumented, you don't turn them to ICE. You free them back into.
Well, there's a lot of things that are imperfect about our state, for sure. And
Let's talk about them.
I mean, you
Let's
want to
talk about 'em.
pick up our, our economy apart, pick up, our regulation apart. It's like overregulated to the degree where like you can't do a damn thing without, bleeding out your ass. You want to go down to the county and build something.
Correct.
It's there's the cost of living's through the roof. The housing bubbles up to the moon. There's I don't know. I mean, we can go on and on, but
Correct. Let's take any one of those things, though. And my point is like, what does the cost of regulation add to the cost of housing in our state? I mean, we could look it up, but the reality of it is you're talking about $150,000 per home minimum. It's being added. And what purpose does that serve? What is the regulation helping?
it's serving bureaucratic desks.
Correct. Yeah. So government jobs, right? Yeah. So we're voting for people that are putting in roadblocks to progress and creativity in order to extract funds from people so that they can pay themselves jobs and donate that money to NGOs that'll filter that money right back to them.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, talking about the American political system, man.
Right.
It's a heap of corruption. I'm not trying to say it's not. I'm not sitting here going, we have it figured out, or even the Democrats.
But I'm just
burn it down.
But it's not fair to say like this guy's the dictator, these other guys are great, and then when we point out the stuff that the other guys are doing, be like, well, hey, look, it's not perfect.
It's a lot less perfect to be a dictator, though. And I feel like what he's doing is he's eroding everything.
How is he a dictator?
Let me explain.
But how is he a dictator when the Supreme Court rules against him and then he changes?
Bro, the Supreme Court ruled against him. What was the first thing he did? He issued another tariff.
Okay.
He's like, okay, I can do this then.
Through another legal law.
Let's use a different example.
Okay.
Here's why I think he's a dictator, is because he's going after eroding the fundamentals of our country that make us great. And the first one, in my opinion, is the right to a trial, the right to face your accuser. That's called habeas corpus. And that's not just for citizens. That's for anybody on American soil. Okay. If the government comes and picks you up, says, we're not charging you with anything, but get on this plane, we're taking you to prison for the rest of your life because you have a tattoo and you have a social media.
Started with Obama.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
Listen,
yes,
bro.
It did, bro.
Obama didn't send anybody to CCOT.
How many people are in Guantanamo Bay, brother?
Guantanamo Bay's fucked up. That started with Bush, and that kept going through Obama.
Dude, look what Obama did with arresting people and not giving them trial. American citizens.
Bro. Okay, let's list them up. Pull the list up because I want to talk about that too. I'm in agreement with you. I think Guantanamo Bay should have been shut down a long time ago.
Sure.
But currently, the guy that's there right now, as an exercise, put 300 people on a plane and flew them to CCOT against the judge's orders. Okay, you know this, right? Like you know what CCOT is, right? Okay,
is that the place in Florida?
CCOT's in El Salvador.
Oh yeah,
okay? It's a maximum security prison that was put together by Kelly Bouton or whatever that guy's name is, and he. I'm not saying that he didn't have a right to clean up his country. El Salvador was the most dangerous place on earth. It was pretty bad, right? And so they built this gnarly prison, and they rounded everybody up. All right, they put a lot of people. I think 60,000 or something people went in there, and nobody comes out. It's you're in there, you're in there. All right, and it's very inhumane, and it's not a great place to be. So when Trump first got in, one of the first things he did was to make a statement, rounded up 300 people and put them on a plane and sent them there. And if you look up the criteria for how those people ended up on that plane, that's my first problem. That's an erosion of habeas corpus, which is what kings have. Kings don't have habeas corpus.
Were they citizens?
Some of them were, some of them weren't. No, none of them were citizens, but it doesn't matter. You're not going to take me down the path of agreeing that just because they weren't citizens, they have the right to be thrown in a prison for life.
I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm just saying. You asked that.
I'm just saying, if you want American rights, usually you have to be an American. And if you want to start to say it's a dictator,
hold on, bro.
You can go down the list of every single president who has denied someone's right to a trial because they were deemed some kind of enemy at the time.
Let's get back to that. All right, we'll get back to that list because every time we come up with something, every time I ever come up with the thing that Trump's done or doing, for instance, like last time, the first time he was in there with that little Keebler-Elf attorney general, what was his name? The first attorney general he had. He looked like Keebler-Elf. Jeff Sessions, yeah. And Jeff Sessions comes out there and he's all, and as of today, we are implementing the family separation no tolerance policy. right? A zero tolerance policy. We're going to implement family separation. Wow. Okay, we're start taking kids from parents, and we separated something like 3,000 or 4,000 children from parents, and didn't give them back, and didn't track them, and created a great big like, where are the parents, and where the kids go to. I don't even know how much of that got resolved. Right? That was heart wrenching to me, because here we have a policy being put in place, and what was the response from people that were in agreement with Trump? Well, Obama was already doing that. Well, was he doing that? Because, yeah, kids do get swept up at the border, but they didn't have a parent-child separation policy. That's much different. Children getting swept up and put in a camp, that sucks. All right, children with their parents getting swept up, mom getting put in that camp, child put in that camp, mom shipped over here, child shipped over here and lost from mom. That's a whole nother level of egregiousness that I will never be okay with.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know. I don't know much about that. So,
well, that's something that, you know, mattered a lot to me, because I
Sure.
was paying attention at the time,
Understandable.
and that hurt my heart.
Yeah.
All right? And that made me really go like, fuck this. This is not okay. All right. This is just as hateful, you know?
yeah, I get it. And I totally understand where you're coming from. And I'm glad that, you know, you're speaking
Hey, bro,
where you're coming
we
from.
got the gloves off. We can do this. We can talk about these things, you know, more often or less often. You know, it's
I just think it depends on which hole you're looking through, right? Because what you said there, I'm not going to argue with that. If that is true, which I'm not sure it is or isn't, but I'm going to take your word for it, that's terrible. And that I could see why you would feel that way, right? You could also see why somebody who, and that happened after he was elected, right? You could also see how somebody living in a democratic state under democratic rule who's in real estate and sees how dysfunctional everything is in government could be like, well, here's a guy who would understand how overregulation really affects people's ability to operate and live a free life, which is not make as much money as you want, but be free to worry about something besides your fucking bills, right? And be like, well, maybe if I vote for somebody like this, there will be less government in my life and I will be more free to do what I want to do.
I get the appeal.
Because that's what it's about. It's like, how do I get the government out of my fucking life,
But
bro?
we didn't get more.
That's what I want to vote for.
We didn't get less government with this guy. We got a lot more government. 'Cause
Maybe.
right now we got government telling women whether they can have abortions or not, or whether they can have access to health care, right? Like women in some states can't go and deal with a miscarriage because the doctors won't treat them.
But again, I could argue
That's more government than less.
That's getting the federal government out of it and putting it to states' rights,
No,
which
but
is the
still,
way
like,
this country was founded to
that-
be in the first place. We don't need the government to tell us fucking everything.
Bro, that is a way of saying that. That's a way of getting out of that argument, because it's still the government. It's still the state government, but it's the federal government saying, "Hey, states, have at it." All right, they're pulling their leash off and letting states like Tennessee or Oklahoma go ahead and imply rules that are, you know.
Don't you think if that's what those people in that state want, then that's what they should get?
I disagree with
your
that. Bro.
wife could go get an abortion today if she wanted to, right? I mean, in our
in
state,
California, yeah.
yeah. So,
But if you're living in say like Idaho and you get raped, you can't even leave the state, bro. They're not going to let you. You're going to commit a crime by going somewhere else to take care of that, or you're forced to have your rape baby.
yeah, I don't know if that's true, but
Look it up.
yeah, I don't know if you
know
can.
What? Look that one up. You know, we'll get back to the next episode.
That's right. We got lots more.
Bro,
to go.
We got other shit to talk about. Let's keep it
Yeah,
moving.
let's-
I'm
I think
I think you
willing-
found your new co-host, Drew.
I'm willing to take you for face value.
Well, I don't think either of us are here on like manipulative terms.
No.
Like, you believe what you feel what you feel, and I do too.
I think that you and I are much more alike than we are separate.
And on a spiritual human level, absolutely.
Totally. I just think that we have different opinions of how to get to certain places. And I'll say, like, I think Trump right now is a demonstration of the fact that nobody's coming to save anybody. There's no politician that anyone's going to vote for that's going to come and make our lives the way we think it should be. That power is strictly in the hands of us, the people, and will only come from the unity of the people, because as you're saying, we're facing huge things like, you know, the technocratic state and the tracking and all of that, and everybody's so addicted to their phones. That's true, right? But the reality of it is if all of us came together, there's no way that anyone, government can stand against it.
Bro, that's why we're having this conversation.
Exactly
because,
my point.
One brother to another, we got to come together and talk about these things,
Totally.
find our common grounds, get over our differences, realize we're trying to get to the same place, which is, liberty and freedom and the right to pursue happiness.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm an immigrant too, so I don't really get too high centered on this immigrant thing and whether or not they came over here legally or not. Like I've been an outlaw my whole life. That's
Sure.
not my banner of like, oh well, that's illegal. I ain't gonna do it. And I just don't go there.
And it's not my banner that they're illegal. It's my banner that those people are being taken advantage of in every which way, and I think that that's not acceptable.
Well, I mean, I don't like people being taken advantage of either. But you're going to hire somebody to trim or to work on your farm. I hope you have a righteous list of everybody that works on that farm at a fair wage.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree, but I think we don't need to keep going round and round.
No.
We'll leave that one line. I don't.
JJ's all,
disagree.
fuck, we're running out of tape, boys.
Yeah, let's go.
You got enough batteries, right? Because we're just getting started, dude.
I mean, and let's talk about what got us going was the Israeli technology that's being utilized, and I can't remember what it's called. And that's some interesting shit. Like I was already kind of like realizing it. I was just learning about Palantir and that company founded by Peter Thiel, right? Yep. Who's also the founder of one of the money transaction.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that did PayPal with Elon.
Okay, so
and then he did another thing after that.
Yeah, and he also kind of propped Elon up a little bit, helped Elon make his way through.
That's right.
He also propped up a lot of politicians. So
Yep.
Peter Thiel is the funding vehicle behind JD Vance.
Yep.
Behind.
Yep.
I can't name the list of them, but I know there's more politicians, and I kind of think like, when you follow the money and you get down to like who's really like orchestrating this. And it's always been some shadow government, some shadow backroom shit, like making sure this guy gets in or that guy gets in. And now you've got this guy who owns one of the most powerful information grifting companies in the world, right? And he's getting contracts. He's getting his favorable contracts. He's finally paying off, and that's interesting. And then you see this like that thing pop up about the Israeli technology, to surveil people. But you also like look at like who's really in charge, when it comes down to it, like did you see that little clip that Tucker Carlson put on? I don't like to quote Tucker because I don't like him, and I consider him to be a professional liar from when he worked for Fox News, the kind of shit that he was peddling, and Fox paid out $750 million, and a lot of it was because of the lies they were peddling, and Tucker off the air was saying. He was texting back and forth with the other hosts like this is a bunch of bullshit, and then they get on there and he straight lie to the people, right? And so for that reason, I've always kind of discounted him. But recently, somebody shared a post about his experience in Israel and their crew going over there. Have you seen this?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
And I'm going, whoa, like and the reality is that like the American government isn't on your side; they're on Israel's side.
Yep.
And Israel's the only foreign government that has a persuasive, power inside of our Congress that people go, if you don't go with whatever the hell Israel needs, you're anti-Semitic.
Totally.
And that's kind of crazy. And I don't want to say too much on that topic because I think that is the one area that, it's hot potato, bro.
The problem is any criticism of Zionism becomes an anti-Semitic, situation that you're being accused of. And, I thought Tucker Carlson brought a really good point when he was talking with Mike Huckabee, where, Huckabee is trying to say like Zionism is simply boils down to whether Israel has the right to exist. And if you believe that Israel has the right to exist, then you're a Zionist. And he's just like, well, what does that mean? Does any country have any right to exist? Like, what does that even mean? Mm-hmm. Like, and the point, and I think that that's ultimately what Trump's downfall is, and why I think a lot of his supporter base is eroding, including myself. I voted for him originally because I'm just like, hopefully it'll be less government. And the reality of it is just like you said, it's like, okay, no, now it seems like he got reelected by, sniffing the panties of like multi-billionaire Israeli like government people, and it's like
They got dirt on him. Bro.
if you have to ethnically cleanse like a whole group of people in order for your country to have a right to exist, then maybe it doesn't.
It doesn't have the right.
Are these
Yeah,
people
let's do
even
that.
really Jewish? Like, you ever like read about the Bolsheviks and like where they come from and how come they all had Eastern European names in Russia and changed it, and all of a sudden there's so much there that you can uncover, and like you said, you realize like that's who's really trying to control our country right
Well,
now.
with the Epstein thing coming out and looking how he's obviously tied into some kind of like, sometimes he's a high level dude for some reason. What's the owner of Victoria's Secret's name? He's being deposed right now in court because
Les Wexler.
Wexler gave him how much money? Like $1 billion. Like, why did you sign over attorney rights to this guy? Like, what power of attorney to?
You know what he said? Rothschild told him to.
Bam. See,
The people controlling the world, we don't even know their names.
we're not going to know their names.
It's not even the Rothschilds. It's beyond that. But the fact that there's something going on with Israel and the manipulation of our government through Epstein, through blackmail, through Mossad and CIA being one and the same, it's really become something that's pretty crazy. And if you jump down the Charlie Kirk rabbit hole, and I don't know if you have, but it goes even further down that path that basically Charlie Kirk had a lot of power in his ability to speak a message to young people, right? There was a whole, obviously, following of young American men that were following Charlie Kirk. Well, Charlie Kirk was he was always defend Israel, right? But he was getting to the point as a debater and as a person who could think logically, philosophically, critically, like it's getting harder and harder to defend their position for what they're doing. To the point where Charlie Kirk went on Patrick Bet David and basically said, did October 7th actually happen, or was that all orchestrated by Israel? Right? Did they let that happen as an excuse to go?
Right, he is asking the wrong question.
Which is like the one thing you don't say. And so Candace Owens has been like putting out like basically Bibi Netanyahu came to Charlie Kirk and said, I'm going to take your organization to the next level. And he turned it down. Charlie Kirk
Wait,
turned
this
it.
happened?
This actually happened.
Netanyahu came to Charlie Kirk.
Right. They had a meeting in the Hamptons with all of these Zionists, and he phoned in, and they were all noticing Charlie was like starting to not be able to wasn't supporting Israel. And they were all trying to convince him. And they said, look, we'll take you to the next level. We give all this money. And he turned it down. Right. And since then he was like, I feel like they're going to kill me.
And then who do you think shot him?
Right. Well, who do I think shot him?
Yeah, like, what do you think? I don't.
So I think that he was, from what I've seen from watching the people that are really going down the rabbit hole and doing the research, which would be,
Like, what did they take from his body? Like, when he got shot,
okay, so
his security staff came over there and grabbed something, handed it to the other guy who books it.
So Baron Coleman and Candace Owens are the two people going like really, really deep into this investigation, right? Yeah. So Baron Coleman's hypothesis, right? And not just a hypothesis, but he's got all of this proof. It's laid out. You can watch it. Is that Charlie Kirk had a microphone right here, and that microphone was rigged to explode. And if you remember, Israel, right, had blown up all these pagers, right? And so what he's saying, and there's a company that made this certain microphone in Tennessee, right? So anyways, they go through this whole thing from the way it exploded, but basically like,
He got shot in the neck, right?
well, it came out the neck, right? But there's so much to it. I could sit here and talk for an hour to like lay the foundation without sounding like I'm just saying crazy shit. But basically, like, it was an electronic pulse that blasted out of his neck, right? And that basically he was killed by military, which was basically French Foreign Legion, Israel, and then also TPUSA, like his security team being in on it, because of all the money that was at stake. And basically they got him out of the way, put Erica Kirk in, and now they're on this giant Zionist movement with $250,000 in their pocket, and they can make Charlie say whatever they want from the grave. And there's a ton of interesting information from Egyptian planes that are flying in and out of Provo, Utah on the day that he died, to Erica Kirk and Charlie's head of security, Ryan Harpold, being spotted at Fort Huachuca, which is like this crazy, base in Arizona. Right. And anyways, they go down and down this rabbit hole, but like, not to go all into that, but there's so many places where you're like, whether it's Charlie Kirk, Epstein,
or Trump, like who
or
shot
Trump.
Do you think Trump really got shot in the ear?
I don't know.
I mean, I would think.
I think he did.
But where's the photograph? I mean, I want to see a photograph of that ear.
Thought he did.
If I got shot in the freaking ear,
right?
That's pretty balls rad shit. Like I nearly got assassinated. I'd be showing that Chuck E. Cheese shit off.
I thought that he did until I saw this video where he's like getting up and he's like about to scream fight, 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 and then like literally you can see they lower the flag, dude.
The cameramen run around.
Yeah.
It was such a photo
and
op,
like,
bro.
if there's a live shooter, are they gonna have the dude standing up like that?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I think that shit was staged, bro.
Which is a trip, dude, to even think about, dude.
Well, you know what, man? Like the powers that be aren't just, on one side or the other, right? The powers that be that want to manipulate the stage are definitely manipulating both sides of the stage for sure, right? I'm not going to be naive and say that the Democrats are all good. We got it all figured out. I just don't. There's not another party to vote for.
Yeah,
you got the R's and the D's, so you have to go one way or the other, and like weigh out like what's more or less, And
I think that's the crux of our problem, because they ended up being two wings attached to the same bird. You know what I mean? So I don't know that there's necessarily a solution other than like definitely have conversations and like let's not all hate each other, because that's not going to get us to where we want to be.
Yard work's nice, go home and polish up your backyard, like
or cook a soup, dude, and get into it, smoke a joint and cook some food with your lady. That's kind of fun.
You can't solve the outside. You can only work on the inside.
That's right.
Yeah, the inside's
100%,
where the
dude.
real work's
And
done.
in your sphere of influence, what you can influence. You can influence your family, your community, your neighborhood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like do what you can to spread that influence where you can.
Yeah. Be the light that you want to see.
That's it. You want to change the world, change yourself,
Yeah,
and it's super cliche, but it's true.
I'm starting
and
with the man in the mirror. Ooh.
Wow. Nice, man.
Yeah. And I just don't think it's left versus right. It's now the people, like you said, versus
thank you.
Versus the
I've had a problem with left versus right because I look at our consciousness as more of a spherical thing.
Right.
And
Totally.
There's a lot of ideas, and there's a lot of reasons to be here, and being left and righted is divided. It kind of puts a split in it, where
I agree.
And, so I'm glad we agree on a lot of things, like the macro stuff is like stuff we almost can't really change. It's like that's we can with our vote. We get the vote and then it goes and does its thing, and then we get manipulated through all these different ways, and then we go and vote again. And like and
yeah, but I'm not down for this anymore, bro. I'm not down. It is what it is. Yeah, fuck that. It's not what it is. Fuck that. I'm sick of it. I don't want to fucking vote and do. Oh yeah, I'll pick you. Okay, fuck you. No, I'm not down for that.
Well, then don't vote.
I don't.
He doesn't.
I didn't think you did.
No, fuck that.
He doesn't vote.
I'm not participating in this fucked system.
Yeah, well, I mean, for what it is, it's imperfect. It's the system we've got. And if we don't take care of it and make it better, someone else is going to come and fuck us with it. And that's, unfortunately, I think what's happening is that the billionaires have gotten the Fox is in charge of the coop at this point. But instead of being behind the curtains making secret deals, they're up front. All the richest people on earth are running the shit.
Yep.
So I think that's the real war on earth is a battle between democratic choice where people are making the choices and autocratic power that just doesn't need the people to make a choice, just gets to decide what's going to happen.
Right, and wants to manipulate everything in order to maintain control
power
to the point where it's like, where does it end?
Yeah. Well, it doesn't. It keeps going, bro. I mean, until you have House Harkonnen or House Atreides. I don't know. Like, you're gonna have one or the other, bro. It's the human race is destined for greatness. Hopefully, hopefully we can crawl out of the muck. Survive midnight.
Do you ever watch Brad Lee, Dropping Bombs with Brad Lee? It's a podcast.
No.
Anyways, check it. He had this flat earther on, like,
sweet.
like
I'm
2
a flat
days
biller.
ago.
I could do a flat bill.
Yeah, dude. And I'm listening to this flat earther, and he was like arguing why the earth was flat, and honestly making a lot of really interesting points about it, right? And talking about how he believes there's a firmament dome, and that's what the Bible's talking about, and there's water as above and so below. And Bradley looked at him, and he's like, well, why do you care so much? And he's like, why don't you care about this or that? Why are you picking flat earth? He's like, because the fact that they lie about what you're on, the globe, is the beginning and the basis for the whole manipulation of mankind.
Oh, God.
And I was just like, yes.
You should be. They should be attorneys, like the Flat Earthers Association.
Like, did we really walk on the moon? You know what
I don't
mean?
believe
Like,
that one.
It's just like,
I don't think that's real.
we only know that the earth is round because that's what we're told.
Really?
I believe it's round. So I'm not a flat earth believer.
That's good, Drew, because I actually have signed off on flat earthers. I'm done arguing with them. I won't even engage.
I'm a well proponent of, of course, why would I think anything other? Like, you look up at the moon, whatever.
That's the dumbest shit ever, man. Like, I mean, how many people...
You should listen to this podcast that he listened
I'm
to
going to
and
send
see
it
if
to
it
you.
influences
I'm
you
not
at
saying
all.
it's going to change your mind, but it just sunk in with me. Like, not necessarily flat earth, but like the manipulation of history, the manipulation of people. Like, it can start at such a foundational lie that it just,
Bro, we're built on a foundational lie.
That's my point,
Almost
dude.
every religion has
and
some-
it just fractals out, dude. You know what I mean? With the
So what is the
Fibonacci
truth?
sequence, dude.
where is the truth? That's what fascinates me.
Truth
Right.
is in
I'm so-
spirituality, bro.
Yes. The truth is inside. But
truth is what we
also
seek.
I also say the truth is written in stone.
Yes.
You look at the heaviest stones that have been placed on this planet, and there's truth, undeniable truth. That fucking pyramid is true north. It was built with those blocks that are so goddamn big we can't figure out how did they even move them.
It was the aliens.
Right.
I'm not saying that. I mean, I'm not going to necessarily jump in that bucket. But when we say
I
aliens,
fucking am.
Yeah, Drew's in the bucket fully, bro. He's soaked.
Hold my
Which
Manhattan, dog. I'm getting-
which aliens, man?
hold my old fashioned, dude. I'm getting in there.
Aliens or gods? Which
Yeah.
ones? You know,
Yeah, they're one and the same. The Anunnakis, dude.
Well, thanks for the pep talk, guys. This is awesome. I feel really good about things now.
Well, we're in the right place. I feel like Mendo's a great place to be through all this stuff, ultimately, we can't solve all that shit, The Creator told me not to worry about it a long time ago.
Right.
Just to raise a family, enjoy my life, and be happy.
And let him take care of it, right? Let the Creator work it out.
Let the universe, the Creator, the source, whatever you want to call it, just the love that we come from, let that be your home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I love you, Kelly. I'm glad you came on. And like, honestly, from the moment I met you out at the ranch, you're a genuine person, and that really comes through. And the compassion that you have for people and the reason why you feel the way that you do, I totally can stand behind that. And I totally resonate with that. And I agree with you. Like, all humans have the right to health and happiness, whatever that looks like. So appreciate you coming on, dude, and
yeah,
mixing
bro.
me a drink.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
We'll do it again in a couple months.
Hell yeah, let's do
dude.
it. Yeah,
It'll be
I'm always down.
reoccurring.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, if you're still listening, do us a favor, give us a review. If you could like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, that would be dope. You got to go to Like It or Not Podcasts in order to find us. Help us jog the algorithm, leave a comment. And if you got questions for Bianco, he's going to be on next week, 707-234-8926. You can call in and leave those. If you got guest suggestions or you just want to tell me how beautiful I look in what I'm wearing, 707-234-8926.
See you guys next week.
Later.
Cheers.